Hello and welcome to Why Earn a Post-Professional Doctor of Occupational Therapy, presented by Rehab Essentials and the University of Montana. My name is Cheryl and I will be your host today. In today's webinar, we're going to be focusing on why earning your post-professional OTD is important, why you should consider attaining your degree, and then have a Q&A session with Dr. Adrienne Lauer, the program director at the University of Montana. Your presenters today are Dr. Adrienne Lauer and Dr. Jonathan Sheeler. Adrienne, please feel free to introduce yourself.
Thanks so much. And yes, my name is Adrienne Lauer. I am the program director for the University of Montana OTD program, the post-professional program. I'm happy to answer any questions y'all might have today. And I have a bit of a background in obviously occupational therapy for many years, working in adult rehab mainly in a variety of aspects, working overseas, and a special interest in assistive technology and distance education. Happy to meet you all going forward.
Thank you. And Dr. Sheeler, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonathan Sheeler. I've been with Rehab Essentials in a chief program officer position since about 2011. I've been with the company since its inception in the mid-2000s there, about 2005. I did some production on the back end of things, and now I help coordinate our transitional programs, both the Doctor of Physical Therapy and the Doctor of Occupational Therapy. I'm really excited about this opportunity to be able to offer the occupational therapy doctorate to anyone throughout the globe. So excited to everyone being on here today. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Sheeler. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Lauer to talk more about how the post-professional Doctor of Occupational Therapy program can help load your future. Dr. Lauer?
Thanks very much. So one of the first questions we get an awful lot is, can you define or clarify the difference between entry-level OT degrees and post-professional OT degrees? And one of the huge differences is that with the post-professional, it is someone that already has earned a degree in occupational therapy and is probably already practicing and has sat for their NBCOT exam and passed it, and is able to operate wherever it is they are working in the world as an occupational therapist. Entry-level OT degrees require fieldwork and or some experiential component. And by this time, earning a post-professional OTD degree, the professional has already done those fieldwork experiences. So with the ppOTD degree, why do most people seek this? Just to advance themselves within the profession, to look to elevate themselves and the profession. Lots of times it's already somebody that is working in academia and wants the terminal degree, and or is looking to advance maybe their visibility or their role in clinical practice or in the community, wherever it is they're finding themselves working. So those would be the differences we'd like to highlight between entry-level OT degree and a post-professional. So we feel there are a lot of opportunities for someone seeking the post-professional OTD degree. As mentioned, it can be someone looking to learn more about healthcare administration and use those skills in a higher level role other than clinical practice. Someone who's looking to advance themselves in terms of clinical research and their ability to get involved in that. Someone who wants to do program development and have the skills in order to bring their good ideas to development and growing where it is they work or growing in the next sector that they'll find themselves in. Again, as we discussed, it's leads to great opportunities in either full-time academia or adjuncting. Definitely avails the person of some recognition to be able to take on those positions. So we like to talk about the expert level of growth that the degree would be able to offer that person in terms of, again, the contribution you not only make to the program, but how you elevate yourself, and as well as the profession of occupational therapy during this time, during the curriculum and earning your degree. And bringing your leadership skills, and of course, then being perceived and being able to act as a leader in the field of occupational therapy, and bringing all of your prior knowledge, both in the clinic and from your educational experiences, whether you've earned a bachelor's or a master's degree, the combination of your education, leadership skills, and the contribution to this profession results in that expert level of growth that this opportunity you'll have. Our four main ideas, I should say, were thought about as we put the post-professional OTD program together. That is, how do we work to help you enrich practice, advance your knowledge, of course, enhance your competency, and refine that degree of professionalism. I'm sure everybody has a degree of professionalism, but how do we advance that? How do you develop your role both as a leader and a professional? How do you work to develop that even further? We want you to be consumers of evidence-based practice, lifelong learners, and able to take everything within the curriculum and apply it in whatever setting it is that you find yourself practicing in. So that expert level of leadership growth, what we mean by that is being able to demonstrate professional and self-directed practice, and having the tools to enhance interprofessional coordination, partnerships, and develop and seek out leadership opportunities. And we talk about a good amount of about diversity and inclusion within the curriculum, and how that needs to be evident in both the education we are offering, but also in how do you apply that in your practice, and how that you apply that in your organizations. And finally, expressing leadership in both or in policy analysis, theory, and clinical research. And there's so many opportunities within the curriculum for applied assignments, if you will, where we get the opportunity for you to use all of the skills to feel proficient in all of those things moving forward. We believe the graduates have an expert level of being able to contribute, and as leaders and advocates, expanding opportunities to leading in innovation, whether that's in technology or business or leadership, and advanced theory knowledge, and being advocates as professionals for access to OT services, whether that's nationally or locally where it is that you work, or globally as we extend ourselves and our curriculum to people around the world. So as I've mentioned, our goal is to help you elevate yourselves within the profession, and then be able to make that name for yourself, that you are able to elevate, that you are either presenting and or implementing your program development or your advancement in theory, whatever it is that you choose to do your capstone project or focus all of your energies, that you are able to excel and broaden your own career opportunities and improve client care and outcomes.
Thank you, Dr. Lauer. And I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Sheeler to talk to you a little bit more about the Post-Professional Doctor of Occupational Therapy degree program at the University of Montana. Jonathan?
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Dr. Lauer. So why are you listening to this, either afterwards or right now? Why should you choose the University of Montana's Post-Professional Occupational Therapy Doctorate Program or OTD program? Well, hopefully I can answer all those questions for you. First, it's awesome. Second, the main thing that we really focus on, and seriously, what we really focus on with Rehab Essentials is we are a partnership with the university. So we are the university's department for their post-professional program. So, you know, you will apply to the University of Montana. You will be accepted by the University of Montana. You will register with the University of Montana. Once you register for your courses each semester, you will come under our wing, where you will take the courses through our learning management system. We hire on our own faculty. So we aren't necessarily limited to the university's faculty like some other transitional and post-professional programs are. We look for the experts or the leading experts in their field to help progress you to the doctoring level. And then the biggest thing that we really try and focus on is maintaining that work-life and school balance as you are returning to school for the first time in potentially 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. You know, we have been doing the transitional DPT program now since 2005. We've learned really what it means to be a transitional or post-professional program in that fashion, what we really try and focus on as we make sure that we are elevating your academics to the doctoring level. And then the biggest thing, well, I shouldn't say the biggest thing, another big thing is we want to make sure that this is feasible for you, not only in time-wise, but also financial responsibility-wise. Going back to school to get your doctorate is most likely not needed right now here in the occupational therapy profession. Maybe if you are in education and, you know, once you get your next degree, you may see a salary bump. But for the most part, you know, it's not that leading edge there. That's not a leading driver. So we want to make sure that's feasible for you as a professional to go back to school, to balance that with your current, you know, social activities, with your current family obligations. And one of those things really is that financial feasibility. You know, the program is 100% online. It's virtual and asynchronous. So virtual, obviously, being that online component of it, and asynchronous meaning you don't need to be online at 7 p.m. at night to sit and listen to a class. You don't need to take your exam at 5 p.m. on a Friday. All of your exams or quiz assessments are going to be available to you on the first week of the semester, not necessarily on day one, but the first week of the semester. And you can take those exams and quizzes at any time that you like, as long as it's prior to the deadline. So we talked about balance, we talked about the financial responsibility there, the budget friendliness there. And the biggest thing too is that with that balance is being able to watch your courses at a time that you can watch your courses. Again, that asynchronicity of it all. You don't need to make sure you carve out a specific amount of time. If you have, you know, an hour for lunch, you know, most of our segments that we have, that we really try and make sure that we keep our segments down below 20 minutes, some of them 15, 10 minutes long. So when you want to watch a lecture, it's easy to kind of sit on your mobile device if you would like to and listen to that mobile lecture during a lunch hour. Or if you find better time listening to it at 11 p.m. at night when maybe the kids are to bed, like my kids are to bed, then maybe that's the best thing for you. We don't dictate how you review each course. We want to make sure that you're meeting the graded requirements and making sure that we have that core content in there that is going to allow you to elevate your profession to the doctoral level. So we do have a curricular sequential methodology to our curriculum. You can elevate from the bachelor's to the doctorate. We also have a pathway for the master's to the doctorate as well. Those pathways, they share some courses. They actually share 30 credits. And then if you have your bachelor's, you have an additional 11 credits that you need to take there. There are 3 semesters per year, 3 semesters, as my daughter says, 3 semesters per year. So if you have the bachelor's, it's a 7-semester program. So it's going to take you a little over 2 years. Your last semester is your capstone project, solely focused on your capstone project. There's a capstone 1 and a capstone 2. If you're in the bachelor's program, your last semester is just capstone 2. For the master's program, it's a 5-semester program. Again, 3 semesters per year. So it's going to take you, a year and a half, 20 months or so. And again, that last semester, you're going to have capstone 2, and then you're actually going to have one other smaller course as well. We also try and be as transparent as possible. You can go onto our website, you can see the breakout of what you will owe per semester right there. And it's pretty easy. It's $425 per credit. You pay based upon the number of credits you are taking in that semester. So it's easy when you look at it. Your first semester, for example, is 6 credits, 425 times 6, $2,550. The University of Montana does have a deferred payment plan as well, which allows you to take your per semester payment and break it up into either 4 or 3 equal parts, depending upon the semester. For our spring and /January semesters, spring/January semester, it's 4 equal parts. For our autumn/August semester, it's 4 equal parts. For our April/summer semester, it's 3 equal parts. So it kind of helps, again, with that financial feasibility of attaining your doctorate here. There are a few additional fees depending upon the semester. If there are exams or quizzes in your classes that you're taking in that semester, there is a third-party independent proctoring service that we have to use. When we talk about doing that, you will have to pay that proctoring fee independently. And then we also have an application fee, which you pay online directly when you do your application. Can you give me a second? Thank you. Can I talk to you in a second? Thanks. So again, you can do this at any time, even when your kids are just getting into the bath and they're going to go to bed. So anyway, and then you also have a sorry, getting back to it here. Okay, fees. Give me 1 second. Hey, bud, come here. You need to go. I'm in this meeting, so give me a hug and I'll take a look. Okay. Okay, keep going. All right, we don't be on. So love you. Bye-bye. We'll pick back up at the fees there. So there's also some additional fees depending upon the semester. So that estimated fees there, or that EST fees there, what that is encompassing is being a virtual asynchronous program, the federal government requires us to have a proctoring service for all of our exams. Instead of having to go to an actual testing center, we use a virtual proctoring service, which allows you, again, to take those exams or quizzes at any point in time. If you are in a semester that either of your courses or if you're in a semester that has 3 courses, if any of those courses have an exam or a quiz associated with them, you do have to pay that proctoring service there. So that helps encompass that $305. So each semester that you do have to have an exam or quiz, which is not every semester, it's roughly between $30 and $35 for that semester, for the entire semester, for all of your exams and quizzes in that semester. The other fees that are associated with in that estimated fees are your application fee. which runs between $85 and sometimes we discount it as well. So currently we are running a discount if you are watching this live. And then the final fee that's known in there is your graduation application fee, which that's paid toward the end of your curriculum, and that covers the processing and shipping of your diploma. And that's $45 currently at the moment. The big thing that you are probably looking at as well as you're looking at post-professional programs is, are they accredited? So ACOTE does not accredit post-professional or transitional programs. That is something you should know. So if a program is saying they are ACOTE accredited, you want to kind of question that and what they really mean, because ACOTE does not accredit post-professional transitional programs. They are in the business of accrediting entry-level programs for licensure. You do not need this for licensure. You have already attained your license. Now, the University of Montana is accredited by the Northwest Commission of Colleges and Universities, the NWCCU. So that means that you are able to order your transcripts. Your transcripts will be recognized by any other institution as post-professional graduate credits. When you look to go to apply as well, as I said way back when, you don't need this degree, right? Or you may not need this degree, let's say. So we like to also make sure that we are making it feasible for you to simply apply, all right? We do not require letters of recommendation. You showing that you want to go and get your OTD when you may not need it, when you are already licensing and practicing, you are a leader already. You don't need, we don't require someone to tell us, hey, Jane Smith is a great individual and she's going to do excellent in the program. So in that, if you have attained your degree from an ACOTE accredited institution, it is a very, very easy process. We just need your official transcripts sent directly from your university. That's what official means. Unfortunately, if you have them in your possession, we cannot take those. But you just need to have them shipped to us either physically, or we also accept electronic transcripts, which most universities here in the US do now provide. And then we just need a copy of your occupational therapy license. Obviously, you do need to fill out the application as well, which should take you about 5 or 10 minutes if you take a coffee break in between. If you have attained your occupational therapy degree from a non-ACOTE accredited institution, or usually a foreign institution, there are 2 additional steps in there. So again, we still need your official transcripts and a copy of your license if there is a license in your country. And then the 2 additional steps are really making sure that your degree is equivalent to a US occupational therapy degree, at least at the bachelor's level. And the way you do that is you just go on to either of these 2 websites, NACIS or ACE. I do believe both those are .org. They have members associated with them, and what those bodies are is they provide and make sure all of their members maintain a standard of evaluation services. So you can choose any member within NACIS or ACE, reach out to them and say, hey, I want to get my transcripts evaluated or academically evaluated. You will usually ask send your transcripts, maybe send some syllabi to us, and they will send you back a summary within, I don't know how long, it depends upon the organization, a week or 2 weeks. And the second thing is to an English proficiency test that is no older than 2 years old. And we have recently started to accept Duolingo as well to make it more feasible for our international occupational therapists that are in countries that sometimes that TOEFL may be a little bit too expensive, maybe a little bit too difficult to get to, depending on where it is at. So Duolingo is a nice, I believe it's a $49 US option, and we have equivalencies there. We also accept TOEFL, we accept MetLab, we accept IELTS. So any of those 4, as long as you've taken them and maintain and have attained the minimum standard, you should be good to go.
Thank you, Dr. Sheeler, for sharing more information with our on the ppOTD program. I'm going to go ahead and change the screen up a little bit here so that we can see you and Adrienne, because we do have a couple questions in the queue. So the first question I'm going to ask is actually for Dr. Lauer. Dr. Lauer, can you please tell us what advantages does the post-professional OTD offer over a bachelor's or master's degree in occupational therapy?
Yeah, I think so. That's a good question. And I think what it offers is the ability to open yourself up to so many more roles and job opportunities, to really be recognized in a healthcare profession that's growing. To many of our colleagues are entry-level doctorates. So it's bringing yourselves up to that level of education and then being recognized for that. And as Dr. Sheeler said a number of times, at this point, for you all considering it, it's a volitional thing. It's your self-directed move to advance yourselves and to give evidence, if you will, of being a lifelong learner. One of the major things, and I mentioned before, is that therapists seeking this degree are often seeking to move from clinical practice into academia. So whether that's just being given a look, if you will, with your CV to be, an adjunct professor or a clinical lead at an academic institution, or to go into full-time teaching. There are courses that will help to prepare you for teaching. Nothing else prepares you completely for moving into academia altogether. But definitely this degree will allow you to do that.
Thank you very much. Our next questions, I'll let either of you field it, but do OTs with a post-professional Doctor of Occupational Therapy receive a higher salary?
Oh, I buzzed in. Okay. I buzzed in before. Good question. Not necessarily. And that is just really going to depend on the place where you find yourself best being able to utilize this degree. Now, if you were to gain clinically a position or stay in the position you are clinically, will salaries jump? Not necessarily, but perhaps your employer will acknowledge your advanced degree. Perhaps they'll acknowledge it and give you a role, again, that's not completely clinical, and those roles might result in a higher level salary, being an administrative role or something, or in a development role. Working for the military, working for veterans hospitals, working for administrative roles in any of those positions, or in public health, lots of times those and hopefully lots of times those roles will result in a higher level salary than a clinical occupational therapist. Depends on where you are nationally and or internationally. Some states historically salaries are higher than others, or lower than others, whichever way you want to look at it. But yes, will you have the skills to advocate for your profession and articulate why it is someone needs to hire and or pay you said salary? I think you will. So those things will work to your benefit.
Thank you very much. And I know you've talked a little bit about academia, Dr. Lauer. The next question is a little more specific. If I'm interested in teaching OTs, should I get an EDD or a ppOTD?
So a doctorate in education specifically versus a post-professional OTD, I suppose, personal choice. And many people, I think, that are returning to get their doctorate in occupational therapy, who've been out of academics for a while, out of the classroom, will find it hugely beneficial to be taking courses such as the advanced theory course, and taking courses that are specific to leadership in occupational therapy, and reading the literature in regards to cultural diversity, specifically in occupational therapy, all those topics, teaching and learning specifically in occupational therapy. And I think one of the major things that needs to be examined if considering one or either of those degrees is that this is meant to be for the working professional. This is meant to be a very budget-friendly degree to earn. And this is meant to be done, as Dr. Schiller said, inside of 20 months, or if you're getting your bachelor's, it's going to add on a few more classes, but it's definitely going to be a certain, probably a year shorter than earning your EDD, if not longer, you know, a year or more shorter than that for a really tuition-friendly curriculum.
Yeah, I think another thing too is that it opens up your option to discover if you want to actually get in academia. I mean, sure, you know, as rehabilitation specialists here, you know, we get burnout. We want to say, oh, you know what, I'll just start teaching, and maybe I'll just jump into my EDD. But as Dr. Lauer said, and she has experience with it as well, getting your EDD is a longer process, and it's definitely a financial burden upon you. So getting your ppOTD entry-level programs, especially, in the past 2 or 3 years here, have seen the light on the value of virtual learning. There are many programs now that they're not completely virtual, entry-level programs. They're not completely virtual, but they have a good portion that do have a large virtual component of it. And in that, they are bringing on those adjunct roles to allow you in California teach a class in New York. And having that OTD, again, may give you that foot in the door to at least try that, right? And say, oh, okay, do I like academia? Because it's not all sunshines and rainbows once you get into full-time academia. So it gives you that opportunity to maybe keep your main steady profession going as an actual clinical professional, and then try out that academia in the virtual realm and figure out, is this something I truly do want to pursue without diving into the shallow and not knowing if it's shallow or deep or not. So.
Good point.
Thank you both very much. And actually, very similarly, the next question is actually more about leadership. So how does the ppOTD at the University of Montana help prepare me for a leadership role?
I'll take that, Buzz. Yeah, I think, again, as Dr. Schiller said, you can go online, full transparency to see what classes we have to offer. Specifically, we have a class in leadership. Specifically, we have one in teaching and learning and leadership. Specific classes on professionalism within the profession of occupational therapy, and we work to focus on developing advocacy and leadership skills, specific assignments that people have to, research and do their best to perform as leaders. And one of the things we discuss in the leadership classes and in classes often is, I think one of our chores, it's not the right word, one of our roles is to help each student identify what type of leader they are. So not everybody needs to be a leader that is the AOTA president or speaking at AOTA, but there can be silent leaders or leaders who just lead within their organization versus nationally or trying to affect change nationally. So I think it's helping each student to find out what kind of leader they are and what kind of leader they can be within the profession and their organization. And I think that we do our best to focus on that and graduate somebody that has those skills and is able to articulate those skills.
Thank you very much. And we do have one last question here. And this one's actually more for Jonathan. Jonathan, can you please go over the pricing and timing again for the program?
Yeah, sure. So again, we try and be as transparent as possible. I myself went back to school to get my MBA virtually. And one of the things that I did not like when I was trying to look around at different programs is everything is very, very hidden. In academia, everyone really wants you to call up or send an email to kind of get your information. So that's one thing that I make sure that we try really not to do. So everything is extremely transparent on our website. However, Cheryl, if you can bring up really that slide again that goes over our pricing structure, which again, you can find directly there online. When you go to our website there, you choose whether you have your bachelor's or your master's. It's a very, very easy process. You're going to go to your, obviously, your OTD, and then you choose either bachelor's or master's, boom. And then all this information is right here. So again, if you have your bachelor's, it's a 41 credit program encompassed within 7 semesters, 3 semesters per year. Okay, so 7 semesters, we're at 2 years plus 1 semester. The overall total cost for that, $425 is what our per credit cost is, times 41, comes out to be that $17,425. You don't pay that all up front. You don't pay that all at once. It is paid based upon the number of credits you are taking in that semester, which when you are on our website, there it does show you that full price there. And then underneath of it, it says click here to learn more information or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing because this is not what it says, but it essentially is click here and it'll take you to what you actually owe per semester. So you can see, all right, what do I need to plan for here per semester? How is this going to be broken out? If you have your master's, if you have your master's in occupational therapy, again, it is at 30 credits. So you knock off those 11 credits, 5 semester program. So just under 2 years there. Total cost again, $12,750, broken out in semesters based on the number of credits you are taking in that semester. The big thing I do think I did forget to mention was that it is based upon your highest level occupational therapy degree. So if you have a bachelor's in occupational therapy, but you have an MBA, you would enroll into the bachelor's program. If you have your bachelor's in occupational therapy and you have a MHA, you'll be enrolled into the bachelor's level. You'll be eligible for the bachelor's level program. So again, if you have your master's in occupational therapy and you have your MBA, well, then you'll be eligible for the master's program because again, it's based upon your highest level U.S. equivalent occupational therapy degree, whatever that may be.
Thank you, Dr. Sheeler. And that does bring us to the end of our questions for today. I do want to thank everyone for coming to our webinar today. There is also one piece of information I'm going to add to our chat. I know that Dr. Lauer touched on our capstone project as well as Dr. Sheeler when they were discussing various items. I'm going to go ahead and add an address for a webinar specific to our capstone that answers a lot of the deeper questions in there to facilitate any questions you have on that. In the meantime, if you have questions that are specific to Rehab Essentials to the program, please feel free to look at, as Jonathan has mentioned, umt.rehabessentials.com or email us at otd@rehabessentials.com. And then lastly, if you have admissions questions, I'm also going to be putting a Calendly email link into the chat here, and you can utilize that to schedule a meeting with our admissions team. Most likely, you'll be talking directly to Jonathan via a virtual meeting, just a 15 minutes to really be able to ask your questions, and he can help you out with almost everything under the sun. He's quite knowledgeable. So with that, I want to say thank you again and have a great day. Looking forward to your application.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.